Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the farm. This week, we have some extremely exciting videos in the pipeline. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that button and also hit the bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. I wouldn't want you guys to miss out on any of the fun things we have in store. In this video, we're going to be talking about the yields from this year's crop. On top of discussing our performance out in the fields, we're also going to announce the winners of the Corteva soybean yield guessing contest giveaway. I know that a lot of you have been waiting for a long time for those results, so I'm going to give them to you. Later this week, you can also expect to see our farm's equipment tour from this fall and tillage season. I know it's been eating some of you alive, waiting to see a tour of all of our equipment lined up, and I have something very special in store for you. It was worth the wait, so tune in later this week to see that video. Oh, and I'm forgetting something kind of important. I'm supposed to tell you every video. Like it. I shouldn't even have to tell you at this point. Make sure you like every video. It helps me out a ton. Before we can get to all that though, we do have to do a little bit of work, unfortunately. We're helping Chris and Jeff finish out the last of the soybean bin. We're taking it to the elevator. Right now we're waiting on Jeff to get back to the truck, then we're gonna hop in and sweep out the last load. Chris and Jeff have been working on emptying out this bin since the tail end of last week. I was doing some stuff in the backhoe, a little bit of tillage and other off-camera work that you're not gonna see, but they've made pretty good progress. This bin holds over 20,000 bushels of soybeans, and we're down to maybe the last 200 bushels.
I'm not entirely sure that's 200 bushels. It may be 300, heck, it may even be 400. I really don't know. It's too early and cold this morning for me to guess something like this very accurately. It will fit on one semi-load, so that's good. This is the earliest that I can recall that we've ever hauled soybeans out of the bin. Usually they stay in this storage up until at least January, but the market this year has been very interesting and is showing a lot of demand and drive to get farmers grain. Soybean cash prices right now at our local elevator are over $11 per bushel. Those are some of the strongest prices we've seen in probably the last 4 to 5 years. The cash price is representative of the price you would receive if you took this grain directly to the elevator and sold it over the scales. That accounts for two factors, the futures price and the basis. The futures price is the overall price for soybeans set by the supply and demand and other buying factors on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Now, the differentiating factor for the prices is the second part of the equation, the basis. The basis is more of a logistical pricing aspect of what you see when you deliver soybeans. A local elevator's basis is typically determined by their logistical cost and the margin they want to receive in their product. It is also heavily influenced by end user demand. So if a processor is bidding up the price of soybeans to get more into their own facility, downstream processors like elevators and other merchandisers are also going to raise their bid. Bids can be positive, they can be negative, but they're always based on the futures price. Right now, our local elevator is only 10 under on soybeans. So if the board price was $11, they're paying $10.90. That's enough talking for now. Back to work. Jeff knew I'd been rambling for too long.
Leverage. Here we go. Switch should be off. Fortunately, the gearbox in this bin that we replaced earlier this season didn't have any problems at all. Dad and I might have a career as bin mechanics. Probably not though. I shouldn't have said anything, I might jinx it.
Yeah, ready? Yep. Chris, not pushing, go fast, we're getting in the rut. Not pushing on the tire.
There goes Jeff with an impressive load of 300 bushel of beans. But the bin is empty. Job well done. This camera makes the bin seem a lot smaller than it is.
Man, it's an absolutely beautiful day out here.
Hard to beat those views. Now, what you've all been waiting for. Let's get some yield data off of these combines. That seems to be a bit of a predicament. Not sure how I'm gonna get to that combine. Guess we'll do this one first.
Yes, show me your secrets. Beep boop bop. Downloading. Okay, one down, one to go. All of our precious intel is right here. Number 2 is in progress.
Alright, 2 done.
Welcome to the John Deere Operations Center, which is home to the majority of our farm's technological data. This is where we organize, refine, and analyze yield data, GPS lines, field boundaries, and much more. I've already spent a good amount of time uploading all of our harvest information as well as back calibrating yield maps based on actual numbers to make sure that I can give you a somewhat accurate representation of this crop year. Yield mapping isn't without its own flaws, especially given that we have two unsynchronized combines. The data is stitched together after harvest, resulting in some abnormalities, as you can see here in this yield map. Sometimes they don't really communicate that well and can't decide who's harvested what, and it results in a little bit of error in our maps. Regardless, it can be extremely useful at showcasing trends and other major problems and successes within a field. So let's dive into the data and see how this year treated us. In our cornfields, we saw a wide array of yields, with a range of almost 100 bushels from top to bottom. Two determining factors for performance were the field's topography and nitrogen program. Fungicide was also applied to some farms, but there really wasn't enough comparable data to draw any conclusions. Two of our top 3 cornfields did have Syngenta's TrivaPro applied at tassel for whatever information that is worth. Without the presence of a check strip in a field, it's really difficult to speculate whether or not fungicide had a return. Two fields down the road from each other, different topographies, different hybrids, different conditions, they're not going to give you a fair understanding of whether or not a product was worth applying. Cornfields with all of their nitrogen applied during the previous fall as NH3 were easily 30 plus bushels off of programs that used an additional side dress nitrogen pass. This field in particular definitely showed a yield drag even on the top end due to a lack of nitrogen. Since all the nitrogen was applied, it ended up not reaching it to the end with enough given the amount of rainfall we had. Splitting your nitrogen applications does not always show a positive yield advantage every season. However, when you are faced with an extremely wet growing season, they serve as an insurance against excessive nitrogen leaching and volatilization. This is typically intertwined with the yield drag that low-lying spots face across the entire farm. Nitrogen loss really showcases itself where drainage is inadequate. In the soybean fields, we saw a much smaller variance in yield. As with the corn, the negating factor was the water damage from the big rains. All of the low-lying areas in the farm were 20 plus bushels lower than its well-drained counterparts, even on our best soils. This is very evident in this farm right here. You can see where all of the water is pooling after the big rainfalls, which is also indicated by this elevation map. The water's coming from this top right corner, moving all the way down to the southwest corner and really hurting our yield. The yield is also dragged down in areas where the water travels the most. As you can see, the terrain heads this way. We also see a yield drag that way. Second, the percentage of replant acres played a key role. Replant soybeans almost never come close to the earliest planted acres, especially with continued water pressure throughout the season. In this split screen, I have a replant map on the right side and I have a yield map on the left side. It's very clear to see the correlation as to what the replant beans ended up doing come harvest time. Anywhere where I had to replant large swaths of soybeans did not yield very well at the end of the season. In some cases, there was anywhere from 30 to 0 bushels. That's definitely a burden that the rest of your field cannot overcome and will drag your average yields down. All of our fields that needed the most beans stitched in throughout the season were all on the lower side of our yield scales. Although areas with a lot of water pressure struggled individually, entire farms also took a huge hit due to the lack of rainfall in August. August precipitation is key to high test weight in soybeans. Our pod counts were tremendous, yet we did not fill out enough weight to capitalize on the superb starting conditions. With all of that being said, I will honestly say that I may have underestimated the losses that we were going to suffer from the mediocre growing conditions. I really did think the potential was there for 100 bushel field averages, even if we could have just gotten a few inches of rain in August. The cards did not fall exactly as I'd hoped, but that is the nature of farming. Okay, enough of the boring stuff. Let's talk about the reason that you are all here, the Corteva soybean yield guessing contest results. Our Pioneer Extend soybeans performed extremely well across the entire farm. There's really no doubt in my mind that the potential was out in these fields for something great. Unfortunately though, no genetics can withstand some of Mother Nature's biggest punches without losing yield. In third place was our Pioneer 31 A95 soybeans with a field average of 75.75 bushels per acre. This number includes the 25% of the field that was replanted multiple times and another whopping 10% of hail damage, which is impressive within itself. Of these 3 varieties in the contest, I think these beans may have had the highest top-end yield potential based solely on the vegetative growth alone. I think had the growing conditions been a little bit better, these would have by far been our best beans. Even with the horrible conditions that this field faced all season, over 40% of the soybeans were above 80 bushels per acre. As I overlay my replanting maps onto the yield map, it is very evident to see how the water and replant issues held us back in the yield department. Given the circumstances though, especially after readjusting my late summer expectations, I'm extremely happy with the final yield of this field. In second place was our Pioneer 40A47 soybeans with a field average of 76.29 bushels per acre. Obviously, our yield maps are having a little bit of an issue right here. One, because it's not wanting to load on the website, and two, because our combine operators aren't always the best about having the right field selected, and then I can't stitch them together appropriately. So we have to deal with those glitches, one of the shortfalls of our yield mapping system without the combine sharing data. This field did not have near as many hurdles to overcome as its counterparts. Only 5% of this field had to be replanted. As a later maturing soybean though, the lack of late rainfall may have been one of its biggest limiting factors. Regardless, this variety has proven itself on our farm continuously over the last few seasons. In 2019, it was actually our highest yielding variety, and on a different farm this season, it was our second best soybean on average. Unfortunately, it didn't even come close to the field's record average from 2018 on the same field with Pioneer's 38A98 soybeans. That is certainly one of our goals moving forward, is to be able to produce more 90 bushel soybeans and maybe even shoot for field averages of 100. This field alone from 2018 is a testament to our ability to grow high yielding soybeans. It's just a matter of playing all the cards were dealt correctly. I'm extremely optimistic that in the future we're going to continue to chase those goals. In first place was our 36A83 soybeans, with one of our top field averages at 78.62 bushels per acre. To the naked eye, this field was an easy choice for first place. It was one of our best looking fields of soybeans throughout the growing season, both visually and agronomically. Ultimately, I think that this variety's victory was significantly due to the local field climate and drainage. Although many areas of this field were particularly impressive, what was exceptional is that there were not very many areas that struggled, which is why it edged out the other varieties. This tells me that this variety is very defensive, especially compared to Pioneer's 31A95s, which really stretched their legs where it wasn't damaged. Realistically, I think that all three of the varieties are worth consideration if you're planning Xtend soybeans next year. There's no doubt that they are capable of incredible things when the conditions are right. Okay, now onto the part that I know you've all been anxiously waiting for, the results of the Corteva soybean yield guessing contest. It's been about 3 months of waiting at least. The closest without going over on the 36A83 soybeans was Wessel Farms. They definitely made a safe bet and it paid off. They will have first dibs on the winter jacket. Second place belongs to Nick Yeatts, third place belongs to 2009 John Deere, and fourth place belongs to Sean Ettner. Now I'm going to select 3 people at random to receive some small accessories just for entering the contest. I'm going to do it live here, that way you can't claim I just picked someone. Okay, we're selecting 3 people starting now. Ooh, close one. Farm Boy's a winner. Brandalea Farms. And last but not least, Heather Banks. For everyone that won, make sure you comment down below so that we can start the conversation to make sure you get the gear you want shipped to your location. I want to give another huge shout out to Corteva Agrisciences for sponsoring this yield guessing contest, and I want to thank you all again for continuously supporting the channel. Okay everyone, the next video on this channel will be the machinery tour that you guys have been waiting for all fall. Make sure that after you like this video, you also subscribe to the channel. I wouldn't want you to miss out on any of that awesome content. Ask away in the comment section below if you have any questions. You know I love to answer them when I get some time. Thank you guys all for watching. Have a great day. Peace!